It's a lot of what's called, it's one controlling value, and what's called the chroma, which is a type of, it's an intensity of paint, but it's also about a certain technique called a frottis, which is it's a scumble, and you do it in multiple layers. In French, in academic painting, they started with something called an ébauche, which was the original sketching, and then they just kept building up the layers, modeling and refining until it has that. And then another part of the sort of glow is the edges. You have to pay attention to where the edges are very soft and where they're very hard. And when you look up at the picture, you can see where I've really lost right in here. The edges almost are blurry, and it gives that sort of resonance. You can see that in the Vermeer, like the girl with the pearl earring. Part of the glow is the fact that it's so soft, except with a few little sharp touches, edges here and there. So, look at that. And that's basically, it's just an illusion. It takes a lot of practice to sort of manipulate just a little. That's part of what takes it so long. Like I could paint a figure like this, the first part in a day, and it may take me 2 months to finish it. So that's a lot of scumbling and building the surface up and making the modulations very fine with a little bit orangey, or a little green, or a little yellow, or that sort of thing, with earthy colors.
In some ways, this brings back a few memories for me. Old-timers will remember this in the early 40s, the Hartford Circus fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went that day with my 2 aunts and my 2 cousins. Wow. We all made it back except for one aunt. And she died there.
I'm sorry.
And so many things I remember like it was yesterday. Other things I don't remember at all. I don't remember how I got home when I was 9 years old. I don't remember how I got home. My folks went to Hartford to look for me. They called home and I answered the phone.
Well, that's what people talk about with many tragedy. And that's what I think why allegory is appropriate to this picture, is because we remember things in these sort of fits and starts, and sometimes very potent and sometimes very blurred and cloudy and colorful but not colorful, and hyper-real but yet abstracted and subdued. So
they have a monument and a section laid out there of the circus in the same place that it was, with monuments and names of everybody, and just different areas were etched in pictures of what happened. Real photos that were etched in metal. I don't know how they do that.
Wow.
But they have that there. If anybody has never been there, it's in Hartford, and they saved the whole area. And I'll leave you with this. The strangest thing is when they dedicated it that day, I went with my wife and some other people, and the only thing I thought was very strange, I ended up sitting on a chair almost in the same place that I was at the circus. In the same period, if you will. But if you've never been there, anybody should go. It's very fun.
I'll take one last, three last questions. Okay, I have 4.
I have a very mundane question.
Okay.
I'm so overwhelmed by the size, and you're not a tall man.
Shush. I'm called in spirit.
I've been trying to imagine. Did you work with a ladder?
I work with scaffolds. I built these big sort of makeshift scaffolds, and I think I have one leg that's a little shorter than the other, and I would sort of comment that scaffolds would move. I tell you, I came that close to falling off, but I built them, and then I had 2 big crank easels, and I have to raise it up and down. I got a lot of exercise.
Did you comment on the symbol in red to the right of the picture? It appears to be a mathematical symbol.
Here?
Yeah.
It's the infinity.
Yeah.
It's supposed to see the fragment here. It's the beginning of this child's here. So this kind of completes it. The title is a cycle of terror and tragedy, and that's what I wanted people to understand about this and how it fits into all the other things that we've had, catastrophes and what. So that's part of the symbol. That's sort of a gentle idea of the infinity, the continuation of things. Go ahead.
During each time I hear the discussion of painting, I always learn something new. But there's also another side of the story. Scott O'Brien was my nephew. This is a story which the family chose to memorialize. He was on the 106th floor of the World Trade Center. Had never been in the Trade Center before in his life. He recognized the impact of what he was doing. And the last words he made, a telephone call to his wife, without waiting to be rescued. And so the impact of the story, I think the painting has underscored and it made a dramatic impact on us.
Thank you very much. You know, I think that what we forget when people posture about art, and, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that's distraction, is that, you know, art is this is a real thing that happened. I mean, it touched it. People, you know, that loss was irreparable. You can never replace these things. And as much as I do, or as much as people think that art should be this way or shouldn't be this way, art is for us. It's not for some pundit somewhere to talk about what movement's supposed to be this way. It's about human beings, people that real people that really suffer, that really have hearts and really have souls and really have minds. And I think that that's what museums are for. And I'm really insistent upon that as an artist. Our job as artists are for our audience. It's not to hate our audience, it's not to disdain our audience, but to embrace our audience in the most potent, miraculous, exquisite, delightful, telling, interesting ways possible. That's what I really appreciate. Thank you for sharing that. I have one more question, I'll make an announcement. Yes.
I was just curious, if you begin something as large as this, do you have an absolute vision of how you want it when you're etching it out on the canvas, or do you allow yourself for those changes? Because I find that I let myself go. A month after I've begun painting, I rework it completely, and since that's been the way I didn't like to do, this means we're going to another 6 months or a year.
I do revise it, but it's just according to what, like I might envision a model can hold a pose that they can't pose. So I'm working with nature and seeing what I can do and what I can't do. But it comes as sort of a flash, you know, the ideas do, and then I work to fill that, whatever that distant, it's almost like setting a goal and trying to race toward it. That's how I work.
I have one quick question. Why are the two main figures on the walls of their feet?
Because they're uneasy. You know, they're stumbling forward. It's sort of like, you know, like the buildings are going to fall. You know, that's sort of stumbling towards you.
Thank you.
So we have an poster. I'm signing some posters downstairs, and I'd be happy to sign one for anybody who'd like to buy one. But the proceeds go to the Graydon Museum of Art, not to Graydon Parrish. Although you can make a donation. Thank you so much.